Hello again, this is Helen Dockrell from Notitia. I'm back in this video to talk about the next step of a typical client process. At this point, we've already gone through the information gathering and planning stages. We've gotten through some development and we've been engaging your team consistently throughout that, which includes training as we go. The next step is the rollout and familiarisation stage of the project. So we've got some systems in place as we've been developing. What now? What we're going to do at this point is transition from a feature-focused development process into a supportive touchpoint type system. People do this very differently depending on organization, but we really want to transition into this point where your internal team can confidently do this process, and that's going to involve asking a bunch of questions. We consider this to be a separate step to training because formalized training, say sitting down for a half day and going through the whole process together, is a really great kind of foundation starting point. But in reality, that confidence and ownership of the process can only come through actually trying out the process and trying implementing it. Seeing how it actually fits in the day-to-day workflow. And that's going to involve follow-up questions. Typically, development will still be happening at the same time over processes that will be released a bit later on. And so we'll sort of manage that in parallel. The most important goal during this time is getting the internal team confident in the toolset and transitioning between a state of change and process development over to a state of internal ownership. So as I've mentioned, there's the training and communication parts of that, but the other key part of that is being really clear about roles and responsibilities. So those will start to transition from our project teams over to your internal team. There might be some situations where you'd prefer that Notitia just owns that long term. It might be that you don't have a certain skill set in your business or you don't have capacity to take on that work within your business. That's totally fine. What we try to do is make sure that we start making those roles and responsibilities really clear for the long term so that people really can get upskilled in their own role and responsibility whilst we can still provide them with that level of support. That way they can also practice that whole role and we can identify if we need to make any changes to that. And also, if you're struggling internally to define those roles and responsibilities or to create those supportive processes internally to allow people to take on those roles and responsibilities, we've seen this happen at quite a few businesses, and so we can provide you with advice over that and examples from different places so that you can sort of pick and choose what works for you internally.